Hello, Bear Den Nation, and welcome back to Über Cinco. Today we are going to talk about the very best in television. We're not talking Breaking Bad. We're not talking about HBO here. Well, maybe not. Who knows? No one's winning an Emmy at this party today. What we're talking about is that deliciously scrumptious TV you watch alone or with a special someone, or when it's happening, you might hate yourself just a little bit. Today, we are doling out our top 5 TV shows we love to hate watch. Whether you are embarrassed or you wear it with pride, either way, you hate yourself just a little bit. Today, our contestants are going to give us their delicious choices. The first guy, he's a main entity. The man with the plan. The boy with toys. No one's ever said it before, but he loves them. Brian Ernst, welcome.
Sorry,
sir.
let me close my toy chest here, put everything away. It is not playtime. It is professional time. Hi, how are you?
There you go. Hello, doing well. Quick question. Valentine's is coming up here. Did you get Valentine's as a kid when you were in school? Did you give them out?
Oh, yeah, the little cardboard ones where you had to go to the store with your mom and really make sure you're picking the cool box, and you wanted to make sure you got the Ninja Turtle one, but not the Ninja Turtle one that like the other boys were going to have. It was a whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
That was always a tough choice, and because Walgreens only sold like 4 types of Valentine's, good chance there was going to be some repeats on the day, but as long as there was candy attached. All right, our next guy. He's the tallest of them all, at least of us 3. The man with the longest hair, Nath, the Faith Henenfent. Welcome, sir.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing very well. We are recording this on a Sunday morning. I've had already 3 cups of coffee, and I'm going to go play racquetball after this. So I am jazzed up and ready to go.
All right. I would like to add that I assume that I sent or passed out Michael Jordan themed Valentines to my class when I was a kid. But I don't remember exactly doing that, but I remember receiving a Ken Griffey Jr. one. So it stands to reason that I was passing out a Michael Jordan one. If the Ken Griffey Jr. ones existed, there had to be Michael Jordan
That sounds
ones.
fair.
Sure. I love giving out sports ones too, and I always would try and put I'd ask my mom to help me to come up with sports puns. Like you're a real slam dunk Valentine, or you need
help with that
or
one?
I'd get a first down with you or something. I don't know. Or I'd love to slam you, and you're like, whoa, wait, no, not that. Yeah. So, before we move along, I just want to remind our listeners at home, we have at this point, I guess it's not brand new, but a redesigned website. Bump on over to bizbear.biz, check it out, leave us a suggestion, a voicemail, however you want to interact with the show. We'd love to hear from you. And as if you are a loyal listener, ideas get on the show. Today is one of them, actually. So there you go. Bump on over to bizbear.biz, check it out, interact with the show. We'd love that. And of course, the new website, it's beautiful, it's snazzy. And of course, that's brought to you by our brand new liquor sponsor, Mike's Liquor from Ely. Stop sending us checks. But guess what? We got a new one in the barn. Sisters Beer and Spirits on Route 59 in downtown Elbow Lake, Minnesota. If you hit the lake, you've gone too far. Sisters Beer and Spirits, fueling the good times at home since 1993. Okay, and at the end of the show, stick around for your host's Fast Five. That's me, Mitch Brinkman, the host. Today, my Fast Five will be top 5 kisses. Ooh.
Oh, baby.
Right? Fun. Okay, before we continue, though, let's do a quick rundown of the rules.
Each player in the den has spent time with today's topic arranging their top 5 answers in order of importance. Those answers have been submitted to the host who will moderate the game, awarding points to the player with the most poignant answer.
Starting with their number 5 choice, we will move up the ranks until we reach each of their top answers. But if both contestants happen to have the same answer on their list, well, we have an Uber stare-down.
You will hear the official Über Cinco siren, and both players must reveal their answer and what number they ranked their submission. An Uber stare-down is all or nothing, with one player earning 3 points. After all answers have been read, the host will reveal the final score.
Wow, our rules are good, and they keep the game on track, which I will also attempt to do today as host. And as host, I get to create a house rule. And I do not have a card of mystery today, but I have an envelope of clues. Ooh, look at that.
I like that.
Okay, I too hate watch television, just like you regulars. So I've got 3 envelopes with shows written on the back. The front has clues as to what the show is. Maybe the channel it's on, themes in it, characters, that kind of thing. So, first card.
CBS comedy, 2.5 Men. Sorry.
Oh. Not your own favorites.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, these are
ahead of myself.
That's okay. First level worth 1 point. You guys as a team get first level right. We go into second level. That's worth 3 points. Third level, 5 points. Okay, they get progressively harder to guess as well. So that's fun. I'll give you the first one right now, and then we'll continue on. So first one here. You see that? It says Showtime, Led Zeppelin, Finance, Giamatti. That's the first Hate Watch show I have on the list.
Is that Billions?
Oh, Nathan, right off the bat with the Billions one. Wow. Good for you.
I don't know what Led Zeppelin has to do with that. What's the link there?
Oh, they reference like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and like music it seems like all the time. Every single character has like an encyclopedic knowledge of 60s and 70s and 80s film and television and music.
I can see why you would hate this, because you've already spent 15 of your years of your life around me, and you're probably sick of shit like that.
Well, it's Damian Lewis playing the big baddie, Bobby Axelrod. He's like, what we got to do is buy this new company so we can corner the market and make billions of dollars, just like when Ringo did that one bass line on, Strawberry Fields and pissed off John. And they're like, oh, yeah, of course, exactly. And you're like, what? No, that
is an encyclopedic knowledge, and they know that Ringo got off the drums and picked up a bass. That's awesome.
Again, see, I couldn't be on the show. I cannot be a character. I do not know enough.
Billions is also written by the guy who wrote Rounders, Brian Koppelman. You know how accurate of a poker movie that is. So this is really going to get you into it.
I can't get into that discussion today.
Like half the show is groups of like 3 men walking into rooms and then spacing evenly so they're all in the shot and then standing there in their suits and going, we've got a big problem. And the problem is dividends. And they're like, how are we going to do this? And they're like, well, we got to talk to our banker friends on the down low. And then it's like, cut to next scene. But yeah. Okay.
Sounds riveting.
Let's keep moving. It's very riveting.
Banker
it's
friends.
Very riveting. Yeah. Okay. So who's going to go first today? Okay. I thought about this and I was trying, I did a bunch of metrics. I tracked a lot of stats, but Nathan came out very heavy on top on one. And that is the amount of times I caught Nathan giggling at jokes and ogling Courtney Thorne-Smith while watching his daily rerun of According to Jim when he said, it was on when I came in. I didn't choose this. It was on. Thousands of times. So for that, Nathan, give me your number 5 TV show to hate watch, please.
My number 5 is something I'm currently in the middle of for maybe the 10th or 11th time in my life.
Oh, wow.
And that is Ken Burns' The Civil War documentary.
What?
And
you hate? Wait, so you hate it the whole time, but you still watch it?
No, when I saw it first when I was a kid. Yeah, and it's a beautiful film, and it's fascinating stuff. Mm-hmm. But when I was a kid, I hadn't quite grasped just how terrible the Civil War actually was, mm-hmm. and it's kind of the way it portrays it is sort of this folksy event, like almost quaint in a way. Yep. And not, like one of the worst things that's ever happened in the country. Yep. And also it was, the Civil War was fought to end slavery. And this is a movie made by a bunch of white guys in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. So the perspective doesn't exactly hold up very well. Yeah. And it goes way too easy on some central figures of the Confederacy. Like it lionizes Robert E. Lee, which the effects of that have filtered down through today, the debates about Civil War statues and whatnot. Sure. Use of the Confederate flag, which I just absolutely cannot stand. Sure. So as I get older, I start to see the cracks in this. And there's a guy named Shelby Foote who's in this, and he was a writer, but he's not technically a historian. But he had this wonderful Southern drawl. He was very It was just like syrup being poured over pancakes is what his voice sounded like. And he actually, like, he was an older gentleman, and actually, like, he got marriage proposals in the mail after this aired. Wow. And he was, he's fascinating to listen to, a great storyteller. But he's sort of the central problem, is because he's too nostalgic about all of this. And he knows everything, and he tells these cute little stories about these soldiers, and it's kind of disturbing how much he knows. Yeah. and how much of this, and I'm like, how much of this has he invented? And I've looked up some criticism of him before, and so the whole thing is tainted. Yeah. But as I said, I have had a lifelong fascination with the Civil War, so I do keep going back to it because there's a lot of amazing characters, and it is the central event of our country's history. But each time I watch it, I can see the paper pulled back a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm assuming was one of Ken Burns' first, like, multi-volume, 10-hour-long,
I think it may have been the first one.
Is that the first one? Okay.
I think so.
Well, I think...
and it aired on PBS in 1990, and it was a huge, huge success.
Wow. I think I know why Nathan's so upset. It's like, because, to quote Whoopi Goldberg, it wasn't about race. It was about states' rights. And that's what they really needed to get into.
No.
Nathan,
well, that's actually one thing is that this Shelby Foote dude says is, and he doesn't completely disregard the slavery issue, but this may have been edited in a weird way, but he says a lot of it is about failure to compromise. And I'm like, that's bullshit. It was about slavery the whole time. And that there's a Black woman historian who's interviewed, and she's fantastic, Barbara Fields, and it's refreshing that you have that perspective as opposed to a bunch of crusty old white dudes. It does have Morgan Freeman doing the voice of Frederick Douglass, which is pretty great. Sam Waterston is the voice of Abraham Lincoln, and playwright Arthur Miller as William Tecumseh Sherman. Fantastic. So, there's a lot of great
good
stuff.
Casting all around. That's good.
Yeah. And Garrison Keillor as Various.
But Shelby Foote is just like, General Thomas McPherson just wanted to drink the peach sweet tea on his porch, and then turned out, my way of life ain't good. I got to get up and take up arms or something like that. And then,
that's an unbelievably accurate depiction. Have you seen it before?
Oh yes, Nathan. I think I probably watched an hour or two, and then I wasn't the first grader like you who was like, I want to learn about all the death, of course. Well, did you bring those facts to school with you?
Yeah, when I was 10 or 11, my family took a trip over to the East Coast, Washington, D.C. and Virginia, and we stopped at Gettysburg on the way, and I thought it was so interesting.
Yeah.
And that was what spurred it on, and
that's what blew the doors open.
Yeah.
Was Peter Coyote, did he do that one? I know he's like the Ken Burns #1 narrator.
I don't think so. It was I can't think it. David McCullough,
that guy,
historian. Yeah. He narrated it.
That author.
Another just silky voice.
Yeah.
You could listen to these people talk forever.
Yeah. I say McCullough writes pretty detailed books, but they're pretty boring. They're pretty dry. I've read a couple, but yeah. Okay, enough book talk. All right, this is about TV. Nathan, for helping us see the error of our own ways, I think you might get a good score for this round. Okay, but Brian, I need to hear your number 5 first.
My number 5 is a little bit more fast paced than a probably 18-part Civil War documentary on PBS.
Yep.
Because that is Netflix's Nailed It. That's right.
Ooh.
The baking game show where people who don't know how to bake come to a bake-off. Woo! This is the show that Jenny and I watch when we can't agree on anything else to watch. And we've already watched Entourage twice all the way through. So we need a new show to watch. So we put on Nailed It. And luckily, there's 6 seasons plus a couple of Christmas seasons. There's a lot of good stuff on there. And I've already summed it up. Nicole Byers hosts with a MOF-awarded chef, Jacques Torres, a French pastry chef who's an auditor judge. And there's a guest judge every week. It's like 2 rounds of people who have no idea what they're doing in the kitchen. I would love to see Nathan on this show. because Nathan would blow away everyone. Nathan, you are just a human being who could probably follow instructions and come up with something way better than everything anybody else on this show. It is.
I appreciate your faith in me, but I doubt
they
it.
are so bad. My faith in you is so high. It is the worst you've ever seen. Granted, they are giving people very, very complicated things to do decoration-wise. At the base, it's basically baking a cake out of a box. Like, the cake mix is there. You add the ingredients, you put it in the oven, you're done. But like the amount of people who don't know how to grease a pan before you put cake batter in it, don't understand how an oven works, can't just follow 4-step instructions. Like, what do you mean this goes in there? This is the amount. This is how it goes in. This is the order. Just do that, slow down, and you'll be fine. But that's not the point of the show.
You lost me at the phrase "in there." I'm confused.
But the point is to try and get when you get to the decoration phase of this contest is my favorite, because there's a quick montage every episode of how Jacques Torres put together this beautiful, wonderful pastry. It's a 12-second montage of beautiful food shots of just these amazing hands at work, rolling out fondant, putting faces on things, piping perfect decorations. You have this beautiful piece of edible artwork at the end. And then you put a bunch of randos in a kitchen and say, go make this with no experience. They do. And some of their, I'll say, creative workarounds make no sense, because they get so far behind, they try to come up with shortcuts. And you're like, what are you doing? And the answer is always Rice Krispies. Like, if you don't have time to build a base, go find Rice Krispies and just start fucking molding them into whatever you can and blah, blah, blah. But the worst for me is whenever I see somebody pour an extract of anything without measuring. That's the only thing. Someone takes like a lemon or an almond extract and dumps like half the extract bottle into the batter. And it's like, anybody who's ever seen vanilla extract knows how powerful it is. And it's just like, oh my God, it's going to be absolutely awful.
Do they have to eat their own creations?
They don't. At the end of each section, you have to cut the best piece of whatever you have making, and they have to take a bite out of it. And the judges actually have to eat it. And
so just the judges eat it.
The judges have to eat it.
Don't have to eat it. Okay.
And that's one of my favorite parts, is like when it's either too extracty or too dry or uncooked cake batter, and they have to try and say something nice. Like, Nicole doesn't do anything. She's the comedian. She can say whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But to watch the French pastry chef try and be positive to these people who are just ruining his life's work is really funny. But the best part of this whole show is how I think the first season Jacques saw himself on camera, and he was a chubby man. He was a very chubby man. Now on season 7, he looks like Christian Bale in The Machinist. He just did a complete 180. And
he's just getting richer and hotter and tanner and just,
he's definitely, he cut the baby weight, we'll say.
Is this show so bad that it's like, do you ever think to yourself, this is a waste of time, but I just can't? Or like, is there ever a time when you can't watch the show?
So it's
I can't do Nailed It now.
It's a pattern. It's just the pattern. That's the problem. It's the same thing every episode. It's like watching a Law and Order or watching a Grey's Anatomy. You know the formula of what's going to happen. This happens.
Watching an Entourage
happens.
Or watching a King of whatever.
Yeah, this is kind of like it's almost comforting in a way, because your brain doesn't have to work at all. And I think that's why it's okay. It's not good. You know what you're going to get, but it's just something just like, I got to turn the brain off for a little bit. And at times, even though you shouldn't be watching it, it can be enjoyable.
Do you think this show would be as enjoyable for people who don't bake as much as you do, Brian? Because I'm assuming part of watching this is you feel much better about your baking skills. And
I definitely, nice. I feel I am so elitist after I'm done watching this show, for sure. But anybody watching it can watch it for the side-by-side of here's what you were told to make and here's what you made. And to see that side-by-side is always a laugh, even for the people who did it well. You are guaranteed a laugh at the midpoint and at the end. And that is what I find comforting in this hate watch.
Okay. I'm assuming the cut to joke is a very strong move in this show as well. They show Jacques' work and then cut to,
that's just that's the moment you get that, and they do a complete side by side on screen, and that's where you're really oof.
Very cool. Well, I've had multiple people tell me I need to watch this show and I would enjoy it, and because of the plethora of show out there, I haven't got to it yet. But I think this might push me towards it. But that round, Nathan, I was going to give you 2, because it made me sad to think you as a 10-year-old are just like munching down on the 10-hour Civil War documentary. I don't know why, but then you made me see the fault of our whiteness as well. So that's going to give you 3 points. Brian, I'm going to give you 2 points on this because I don't know. You were moving, but you weren't moving enough. So push a little harder. Be a little more dirty, cuss a little bit more. Maybe you'll get 3 points next time. Okay, Nathan, your number 4 is coming up. Give us that, please.
I went with Yellowstone, another show I'm currently watching.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you say you liked it in a recent chat that we had?
I did say I like it, but it also is a hate watch because it's a lot of it's a contemporary show.
Yep.
And they go to like a lot of bars that play country music.
Oof.
And it's pretty soapy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I would describe it as a cross between Succession and The Sopranos, but 10% as effective as either one.
Yep.
It's and set in the West. Kevin Costner is the patriarch, and then there's the siblings underneath him who in fighting and in business and whatnot, and the criminal activities, and it just, I don't know, like white guys running around in tight jeans and cowboy hats in modern times just never has done it for me. And I mean, I love the Western as a genre, but I'm a fan of, the Sergio Leone's and the Howard Hawks and stuff from back in the old days. But the contemporary Western is like, there's a lot of really good ones, but I sit there watching it. I'm like, this is just so silly, but I haven't been able to turn it off. Yeah. It's like I don't know if you've ever read something like The Da Vinci Code or something, like airport fiction. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like that in TV form. It's like one episode ends and I'm like, ooh, I do want to see what happens. And they have, let me give you some names. So it's the Dutton family. Oh, yeah. And then here's some members of the cast. And let me tell you how white these people are just by giving you their names. Luke Grimes.
Oh, yeah.
Cole Hauser. Mm-hmm. Brecken Merrill. Jefferson White. Gil Birmingham. It does also, though, have the great Danny Houston. Mm-hmm. John Huston's son, who is utterly watchable in anything.
Those are actor names, not character names.
Leads.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are actor names.
Oh, my Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched the first 8 episodes of this, and Kevin Costner's performance can only be described as hard and quiet and small. Because he's like, yeah, okay, let's go, and he just looks off to the right, and he might touch his chin a little bit, fix his hat, and then he's just a dick to everyone. Everyone's like, well, that's Dad, and it's just rinse and repeat over and over again. Have you seen? What episode are you on, Nathan? Quick question on that one.
Let me look.
You on season 2?
No, I'm still in season 1.
Okay. Have you got to the point where Wes Bentley from the Hunger Games series is driving his sister home from a bar and she's drunk in his truck? Because in that scene, they both
don't think so.
The script isn't great. The lines. Also, everyone speaks in aphorisms. Sort of. They're like, when the crow flies, that's when the cows break. And everyone's like, oh, right. Yeah. But in the truck, she's yelling at her brother and she's like, oh, you think you're a big fucking man? And then he comes back with Nicolas Cage energy and just yeah, I do. Talk to me more. And then hits her in the mouth. And then a minute later, then they're just back to being brother and sister again. And it's just, there's just these very weird, wild swings. But then you show a sweeping vista shot of Wyoming and you're like, all right, I'm back in again. So there's that to it. I couldn't agree more with this Yellowstone pick. Brian, do you think you'll be watching this soon?
I really do want to watch it because I think I watched the perfect bridge between Nathan's number 5 and number 4 because I watched Dances with Wolves this week.
Oh, wow.
I had never seen it like in one sitting, and I still couldn't do it in one sitting. I broke it up into 2 because it's 3 hours long. But I like never.
I honestly,
go ahead.
I think I'm gonna watch the finish Yellowstone just so I can watch. There's a prequel set in the 1800s starring the great.
That's
Sam
what I
Elliott.
really want to see. So
also Hanks from last week. Hanks is in 1883 as well. So
is he really?
Yeah.
Peak Hank. Wow.
Yeah, Peak Hank is there.
Western Hank.
Thank you very much. That number 4, Brian. I don't know if you can beat Western Hank mention here. Let's see if you can though.
I don't think I can. But my number 4, I'm going to stick in the reality genre. This one's not a game show. This is full on trash TV. We're talking 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, I love it so much. Man. Oh, I love it so much.
Okay, for anyone who's not seen 90 Day Fiance, it is exactly what's in the title. People mail order. a spouse comes here. They got to be here at least 90 days before you can get married and get your green card.
Yep.
It's both sides just really want something from the other, and it's just a disaster all the way through. But I'm going to talk about 2 specific storylines. I'm talking about Big Ed and Colt. If you know who I'm talking about, I think Mitch knows who I'm talking about. Big Ed is the guy who has no neck, kind of Danny DeVito type body shape, and just an awful human being. He's just, he thinks he puts mayonnaise in his long, greasy hair to kind of keep it looking young. He's kind of living with or taking care of his mother. And he has this narcissism quality about him where he just thinks he deserves the youngest, hottest woman in the world, even though he has nothing to offer, like sexually.
Most Americans on the show have that opinion about themselves. Like this woman or man coming from Eastern Europe or South America or wherever are lucky to have me in their life.
And he is that peak energy. It's peak Big Ed is what we're getting here. Yeah. And his long story short is that he ended up finding a woman in the Philippines. She came here, Rose. They tried doing things for a while, and then he went there, and it was just a disaster. Like he could not believe that like there were parts of the country that felt third world to him. And it was just like, can't believe anybody lives like this. Why you have gingivitis? Please take care of this. You got to be better for me and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, she's like 20 something years old, wants to have kids, all this stuff, everything he doesn't want. And it's just like, why are you going to pick her to bring her back just because she answered a text message? And then it keeps going into another part. So there's a new 90 Day Fiance spinoff. I can't remember what it's called. But now
90 days before or after or whatever.
Yeah, 90 day after, whatever. And now he's got this new woman that he's like entrapping. She's like 28 and they get in all these fights and then they finally get together. And it's like he tricks her into liking him for whatever reason. It's a disaster. Speaking, we'll leave Big Ed to the side for now. I'm going to talk about Colt. Colt is a software engineer in Las Vegas who designs slot machines, lives with his mother, has so many cats, and he finds this woman in Brazil, and she is just like, she has like anger issues. She like beats him. She is a complete like narcissist, and she's materialist. Like the first thing she says is like, why don't you have flowers at the airport for me? Like what kind of welcome is this? And then it's like, all right, well, it's kind of a little understandable. Like, all right, maybe she was looking for a little bit more romance, blah, blah, blah. And then she starts yelling at him and basically telling him, you got to kick the mother out. And then she has like a domestic battery charge against her now. And then they still ended up getting married. It was like this whole thing.
Oh, man.
It's just like to watch these people who are like, should be thankful for any opportunity they have. Like, should just try and find somebody in their same wheelhouse. Like, why does everybody have to be what your definition of an A-list model has to be? How about instead of starting with looks, we start with somebody you get along with that doesn't beat you or doesn't think you're weird or do that? Like, actually lower your standards a little bit and just be a normal human being and just talk to people who are interesting, and maybe you will find a good relationship instead of trying to order one. It doesn't make any sense. But
I mean, Brian, if you were a TV executive and I pitched you, we're going to do a show where people they're really good friends and we just watch them talk about how they both love spaghetti and, genre film. No one's going to watch that movie. You want the fireworks.
This is why it's a hate watch. I hate everyone who's involved. I hate everyone's idea it was. I hate everyone who's part of it, but I can't look away. It is a fantastic train wreck mixed with a truck crash, mixed with a 40-car pileup that just keeps coming on. And now with Discovery Plus, you can watch every season. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, do you guys think you could, if it went well, do you think you could, within 90 days, meet someone for the first time and marry them? Like, no. if it was going well, do you think you could allow yourself to do that? I don't care who it is. I don't think I could do it. No?
No, couldn't do it.
Not 90 days.
I think if I was like in Las Vegas the whole time and we were just drunk and playing roulette the whole time, maybe that would like.
How would you last 90 days? What's your bankroll, sir?
I'm just betting red and black both spins, so we're just breaking even the whole time.
Okay, 1 in 38 times. 1 in 38 times, you're gonna get some zeros.
That's a good point. This show is fascinating to me because it is. Like there's just so many options where people live too, like that to feel that need to reach across the world, and a lot of people think they've found their perfect match, and maybe one out of however many 20 couples they've had actually turns into a really good relationship.
Yeah,
but a lot of times it is just for whatever reason people are too broken or too blocked up to just like look in their own backyard or try and do something a little bit more reasonable, if you will, because. As you said, 90 days, very, very fast.
Yeah, the producers are magical at picking the people who need to be on this show. They have really created the best fireworks spark show you can see.
Yeah, and they give you just enough, and then they cut to commercial, where it's like the hour-long episode or hour-and-a-half episode could be cut easily down to about 32 minutes, maybe, if that.
Each week is a 42-minute episode, 42-minute episode that maybe has 20 minutes of new material.
Yeah.
The rest of it is flashbacks. Remember when they did this? Let's show it all again. Do you remember when this happened? Oh my God. Yeah.
I also love in this show when the American people, they bring them over and then the people come over like, all right, let's hang out. Like, show me your world. I want to be around you. And the American people are like, dude, I need like my space. Like I need to be me still. And you're like, this is the whole fucking point is that you have to get used to each other and married in 90 days. Like, there's a couple, a guy from South Africa and a woman from Connecticut. She brought him over and then failed to tell him until he showed up. Oh, I have to go to Costa Rica for a month for an indigenous medicine workshop.
What?
So she was gone for 1/3 of the time he was in America to get to know enough and marry her. And she was gone for 1/3 of the time in another country doing this workshop and then ended up like flirting with and potentially sleeping with another person in that 30 days as well. Yeah. They didn't work out. Surprise.
It is trash TV.
Yeah.
Fun to
Brian, this is an easy 3. Nathan, easy 3. You're both rolling your bowling balls right down at my center pin here. Okay, but we need to keep it moving here. Nathan,
that was an interesting analogy.
Yeah, sorry. I was building the plane as I was flying it. Nathan, you're number 3.
Jeopardy.
What?
And
wait,
yeah.
What? Jeopardy's a good show, isn't it?
Jeopardy's one of the greatest shows of all time. Okay. I love watching Jeopardy, particularly with my mom when I'm at home.
Aww.
I love shouting out the answers and thinking that I'm smart. I'm actually pretty good at the final Jeopardy. I'm just a regular Joe watching the rest of it. Sure. But Final Jeopardy, I usually actually do okay on. And so I feel real smart when people are around and I get the right answer. Mm-hmm. That's all fun and good. Yep. But two things I can't stand. Yeah. And number one is when they get one of these people that goes on a really long run. Most recently, Amy Schneider, previously Brad Holzhauer, and of course the great Ken Jennings, who won 74 games in a row. And after 4 games, I want these people gone. I'm rooting. I'm like, somebody just beat them already. Just because I'm like, don't want to see the same people all the time. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, when they came back around and they did the greatest of all time tournament, then I was like, oh, I love these guys. It's so good to have them back. And Amy Schneider lost. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see how she does in the Tournament of Champions this year. So I hate that part of it. But the worst part is between the first round and Double Jeopardy, when they go and they have a brief little chat with each of the contestants. It's just awful. There is a reason these people are not on TV.
Yeah. And
some like, oh, here's an interesting fact about me. It's like, once my friends and I, we went canoeing and had a turkey sandwich. And Alex Trebek would be like, Alex Trebek's thing that he would always say is, good for you.
Yeah.
That, like when somebody with a particularly terrible one, it's like, oh, and you once ran a marathon. Yes, I did. Good for you. And then move. I'm like, just get rid of that part. Like, it's always, I literally, when I'm watching it at home with my mom, I literally will leave the room for a few minutes because I cringe. Like, I'm embarrassed for them. I have that third party embarrassment, and I can't do it. The vicarious embarrassment. So that's really all I have to say about Jeopardy.
I don't watch Jeopardy enough to know about when they have one of those long streak winners. Do they go to James Holzhauer every single day for a new quip or a new piece of info, or do they just go, James, we know you. You look weird. You make money in Vegas. All right, move on. Or
I think after like game number 30, they're just like, so you doing okay today? Feeling well? And then they just, because these people, nobody is interesting enough to have like 40 straight interesting facts. Yeah. There's no way, or anecdotes that fit into like a 10-second span.
You know who is interesting? 3 white guys who go on for like 89 podcast episodes. Those guys have enough stories.
Yes, see? Yes. And fun anecdote, our very good friend Steve Moore worked with the champion, or the 1-day champion, 2-day champion, Emma, I can't remember her last name, who beat James Holzhauer.
That's right.
That was our friend Steve's coworker. And other fun fact, I saw her in an airport once. I was on the same flight as her. So there you go.
What a small world.
Good for you is what you're supposed to say there.
Good for you.
Good for you. Also, I'm going to brag just a little bit more. My trivia team, which is me, Danny, Dylan, and our friend Jen, we just beat at the Green Lady on Lincoln last Thursday. We won trivia, and our toughest competition was called, their team name, Pop Pop in the Attic. Our team name, Forensic Scientologists. We beat them, and they were a 4-time citywide trivia champ. So that's pretty good.
Nicely done.
That's pretty good. So Nathan, thank you for this Jeopardy one. What is Brian's number 3?
That's easy. That is Emmy nominated King of Queens.
Emmy nominated? What?
In 2006, lead actor Kevin James was nominated for Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. King of Queens is the second WCIU banner you see most in Chicago next to Seinfeld.
It's very true. And what time is it on?
Mitch and I used to text each other and be, when we'd see those banners, and be like, "Hey, King of Queens is going to be on at 6:30 tonight on WCIU." Just thought you'd want to
forget. Do not forget.
It is always must-watch TV. This show, it's like, it's something that I would watch as a kid and be like, all right, sitcoms are on TV, whatever. Didn't think much of it. Yeah. And then I got older and I would watch it and it would be more like a nostalgia feeling. Like, yeah, this was on when I would get home from school and be on at night and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of remember it. And then when I got extra old, I was like, this is not good. This is not well done. But it does have Jerry Stiller.
Yep.
So it's like, how can I hate this when it has Jerry Stiller? And he is phenomenal in it. He is just Frank Costanza again. He's just an old man who yells, and I'm here for it. But on the plus side, I'm going to say I get to watch Kevin James fall down. Like that. That's good for a hate watch, I think.
Yeah.
And there's one plot that sticks in my head that I don't know I just still think it's funny, even though I know it's not good writing, is that every time they go home to visit Doug's parents, there's a dog that he loves, that he's had this dog since childhood. And they cut to Leah Remini and she's like doing the math in her head. And he's like, yeah, I've had Rocky since I was blah, 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 like 5 years old. He's the best dog in the world, blah, blah, blah. And she's sitting there doing that, and she goes and talks to the mom in the kitchen. She's like, yeah, that's Rocky 4. We just never told Doug. So they've been replacing this dog on him forever. And I'm like, okay, that plot in itself is pretty funny. But it's like, all right, well, here I am how many years later repeating it. So there's something good about it. Stuck in my head.
The whole show is Kevin James, or Doug is he's dumb. He's lovable. He loves the Jets.
Yep.
He loves to eat.
Yep.
He loves walking around in his boxers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He loves watching football in the garage.
Yes.
And what else? I do like that Arthur calls him Douglas when Jerry Still's like, yes. Douglas. That's Douglas. Might be the best. Yeah.
It's like one of the most successful spinoffs, I think. I mean, other than probably Frasier. I mean, it's got a long run.
Wait, this is
was it a spinoff of Everybody Loves Raymond?
Doug Heffernan was the delivery guy in Everybody Loves Raymond. Yes, it is a spinoff.
Wow.
So there you go. Cool your minds.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I did not know that. My mind is legitimately blown. I'm going to look for a billboard.
In the first incarnation of this podcast, did we do a spinoffs episode?
Who knows? We'll have to check the archive.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We should do that in the current one. That is a good topic.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great topic. Brian, I'm going to give you 3 points for this one. Nathan, I gave you 2 for your Jeopardy thing, and I'm going to reveal another envelope of mystery. This is another show, not a spinoff. Here are your clues: butt funnel, spilled beer, Taffer, sad whites. Sad whites. What are those? What is that show? Butt funnel. If you have a question about any of these phrases, I can
repeat them all again.
Butt funnel, spilled beer, Taffer, sad whites. Those are the clues there. Those are the clues.
Butt funnel. That's really throwing me off.
I have no idea.
This is a reality show. I'll give you that clue as well. This is a reality show.
Is this Bear Grylls?
It is not Bear Grylls. That is a great guess. It's a similar, iconic, one person onto themselves type
Survivor
personality
Man
that runs a show. Nope. Pretty close though. Sad whites, spilled beer, sad whites.
Survivor
funnel. No. Unfortunately not. Just keep thinking about that. Think alcohol. It's alcohol is a central theme of the show.
The Bachelor.
Well, that's true. That is a good one. It is now streaming on Paramount Plus. I think its original television channel was Spike TV.
The Man Show?
It's not The Man Show. Also a very good guess. The host of this show would have been a great guest on The Man Show for sure. This is the host right here, Taffer. That's his last name. I will give you that now. I'm revealing more and more here.
Taffer?
So, yeah. Oh my God, he's got a kind of a voice like that. It's very that kind
you
of thing.
You are losing us so fast. We have no idea what you're talking about.
Thinking Gilbert Gottfried.
It's kind of a Gilbert Gottfried voice. Here's another clue. Cheers. What is Cheers? Okay, there we go. That's another clue for you. We're gonna move ahead here. Keep thinking about that. Nathan, I need your number 2, brother.
My number 2 is Jackass.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just. I don't think there's a lot that needs to be said here about Jackass, but it's so stupid.
Yep.
But there's something about seeing them all laughing together that's sort of contagious, even though the things they're doing are just abhorrent and dangerous, and I don't know how they haven't died doing it. But there's also something sort of just they're sort of laughing in the face of death, which I find is oddly sort of inspiring, and I can't believe I'm using that word about it because it is just the stupidest. It's artless. It's so weird that Spike Jonze, he's directed such subtle and sensitive films, is one of the brain trusts behind this. And I've never really heard him say what the appeal to all of this was. So every time I watch Jackass or laugh at it or even remotely enjoy it, I just question myself and wonder if I'm a bad person.
Sure.
So that's...
And I think you might be. I think you might be. But, I'm guessing Spike, he was in the skateboarding world, right? And so that's how he met these guys.
Yeah.
And you gotta hope he just thought, ooh, if I can get on this and get some cash, and get some other things rolling, like maybe that was his motivation.
Maybe. It
I think
is
if you wanted
responsible
cash, you wouldn't
for-
have gone to basic cable first.
Well, I mean, cash with very little work. I mean, you're not writing
that's
anything
true,
there.
but
You're not
yeah, I mean, those guys were not paid very well for a very, very long time.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
My two favorite Jackass moments. One, it actually isn't even Jackass. Was from Mad TV with Will Sasso playing Kenny Rogers in the Kenny Rogers version of Jackass.
Kenny Rogers, welcome to Jackass.
Yeah, he had some of the Jackass crew on, so it was kind of related. But that is far funnier because they actually put some thought into the parody. Mm-hmm. But then there was one of the great ad-libs I've ever heard was from the Jackass movie when they go into a department store and Johnny Knoxville fights against Butterbean, the boxer, like an actual professional boxer. And Butterbean just kicks his ass and he falls and he hits his head. And they're treating he actually has a head injury. He's bleeding from his head. I think that's how it went. And Johnny Knoxville says, "Is Butterbean okay?" that line gets me. But I'm actually going to feel guilty if I keep talking about this show. Sure. So I'm going to request to move on to Brian.
Fun fact: this also turned into like Bam's World or whatever, or Bam Margera.
Viva La Bam.
Viva La Bam. Thank you. Don Vito, their creepy uncle, lives less than a mile away from Danny's parents' house. And the reason they found that out is because they looked at the sex offender registry and he was on it. And he lives very close to them. So
he was disgusting.
Yeah.
Before we move on, Mitch, here, I did find a quote here. In the first season, a lot of the guys were paid by stunt, so not by episode.
Oh, my God.
So Steve-O said if it was dangerous and I could get hurt, I was paid $500. If it was just kind of funny, I'd get paid $200. And after all the filming, I only asked to be paid $500 for 2 bits. So he made less than $1,000 for the first season, maybe.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so who owned that show? Because they were stealing from them.
Well, it's why Jackass Forever now playing. There's a big deal where like a couple of the guys really stood up and like, no, we want more.
Yeah.
And it had to come out of Spike, Jeff Tremaine, and Knoxville's portion. So they had to go fight with their friends to be like, guys, getting older.
Yeah.
Got a life to set up for here. Like either give me a piece of the pie or I'm not coming back.
Well, it's been at least 20 years since the original Jackass aired.
I mean, I think it started in at least 98, 99 on MTV.
Oh my God. I remember like the clear divide in your friend groups or people at school were like, I love Jackass. Or people would be like, really? Like even as a 12-year-old, you'd be like, I don't love this. This is like, I'll watch a clip, but I'm like, I'm not here for the whole 45 minutes,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Dude. Yeah. Jack, that's, I mean, I'll just tell you now, that's an easy 3 points. Cause I also am embarrassed. We're talking about it a little bit. Brian,
I love watch it. I love watch it. Is what I do.
Sorry. I'm going to give you another clue for this one here.
Okay.
Reality show. Think of it like a renovation show, but it's for a business. A renovation show for a business. It has to do with alcohol. Cheers is a very good clue. What is Cheers?
The bar in
Bar
Boston.
Rescue?
Yes, there we go. Bing, 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 bing. Brian got it right. That was my
this guy's awful.
It's the worst. It's the worst show. It's so stupid. And he always comes in and he's like, oh, you've got Cactus Jacks. You got your drink, but we're going to give you martini list. And then we're going to charge $12 for the martini. And that's his whole business plan every time. And that term butt funnel is not as nearly as dirty as it sounds. It's just a railing around a dance floor where there's only one entrance and exit. So people, when they have to brush by each other and their butts touch and then they meet and then they want to go get drinks together. And that is what he refers to as a butt funnel, which always shocks you when they say that with complete sincerity on the show. But yeah, so Brian, you're getting 3 points.
It's just a choke point. Just call it a choke point. That's what it is.
That's also dirty, you filthy man. My God, give us your number 2. I hope it's not about choke points.
Well, it could be. And just like that, the new Sex and the City reboot spinoff.
Oh, Brian. Oh.
Now, I don't watch this because I want to watch this. I watch this because I live with somebody who eats, drinks, and breathes Sex and the City.
Okay.
As much times as we've watched Entourage, she has watched Sex and the City.
Okay.
So we came up with a deal really early on when this show was premiering.
Yeah.
Like she comes home from work on Thursdays when the new episodes are on. I'm like, I will watch it with you, but I am allowed to make fun of it. And she said, deal.
Okay.
So this is why I get to watch it.
Okay.
Now, issues aside with Sex and the City, you right now still have elitist Manhattan white women who are trying to be, in now this current iteration, overly woke is what we're going to say.
Yep.
Now, for instance, Sex and the City had a huge diversity problem to begin with. It was just Manhattan was only white in the 90s, apparently.
Yep.
And now you get to this one, and it's just like we're 20 years on, and they try and force everything these characters should have learned into 20 years and everything we've learned as a society into one show. For example, Carrie no longer writes a column for a newspaper. She is on a podcast with co-hosts Bobby Lee and this new character who is an Irish, Mexican, non-binary stand-up comic.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with representation. The problem is they are a stand-up comic and are not funny.
Oh.
That is the worst part. And they do not do comedy specials. They do something else. Comedy concerts is what they're called.
Oh, sure.
So they go up and do stand-up, and it's just awful jokes. It's not funny. And this person kind of feels like an embodiment of like what a straight cis person thinks these people are. So it's like a caricature of like all the things that like we were supposed to have learned put into one. And the internet is completely divided on this. Like a lot of people think that the character is like super representative, and the other half are like, this thing is like mocking the thing it's supposed to be supporting.
Sure.
And it's like, it doesn't really work like that. That's one part of it. At least it's actually a non-binary person playing a non-binary character. There's at least one that's actually better than what they used to be.
Yeah.
But then there's this whole thing where it's like they've inserted Charlotte is putting together a dinner party, but the thing that she's worried about the most is making sure that the cast list for the dinner party is diverse enough. Like she's trying to squeeze in black people here and make sure that there's a conversation starting here and doing this. And it's like, and then the black family that she becomes friends with are in the same class as them. And it just kind of feels like the show is saying, yeah, black people can be rich too. It's like, well, guys, what are we doing here?
Oh, boy.
Like, this is not the feeling that you want. And on top of all of this, Carrie Bradshaw's character is exactly the same. A total narcissist, the worst friend in the world, horrible to everyone. It's all about me, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like everything is so trying to be more than it just should be. But it's like so hard to talk about this show on the fine line of being like, no. I support what they're trying to do. They are just executing it so poorly.
Yeah. And the creator of this is, I think it's Darren Star. Is that true? Is that the guy?
Well, Darren Star left really, really early. Like he created the show, but he was gone like after season 1, I think. And this Michael Patrick King guy.
Oh yeah, him. Okay. I was gonna say this. What the problems you're describing with these plots and everything sounds like it applies directly as well to Darren Star's show Emily in Paris, which is a show I forgot that I've hate watched before on Netflix. But that show,
he did Emily in Paris. I did not know that.
That show is aggressively stupid. Oh my god. But we do not have time for that though. Brian, I was not going to give you 3 points, but I was dragged. I was dragged to the theater to see Sex and the City 2, the movie where they go to the Middle East. Yeah, where they go to the Middle East, and just so many offensive tropes and ideas in that movie. So 3 points for you again. It today, everyone's. I'm just giving the points away today. I'm very generous. I'm going to introduce my last envelope of mystery. Here are the clues. People: young, drunk, perfect match, truth booth, MTV. It's a reality show. Those are the clues. Young, drunk, perfect match. Truth Booth, MTV.
Truth Booth.
Jersey Shore, Real World.
Ooh, that's good. It's in that neighborhood. You're definitely maybe one cul-de-sac over, but you are nearby. Same zip code for sure. Nathan, before you figure out my guilty watch, please give me your number one.
The Winter Olympics, or as I like to call it, 75 versions of sliding.
It's boring, isn't it? Right? It's boring. It's boring.
It is. It's very repetitive, but there's something sort of soothing about the downhill skiing. Just whoosh, 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 and then when they hit like a little bump and they go airborne for a couple seconds, and like watching people ski jump. It all looks exactly the same. Yep. I can't tell how far they're going, but man, does it look like fun.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the speed skating, again, just so utterly boring. Actually, I won't watch it very often, but I really do get emotionally invested. This is the most patriotic I ever am, is when the Winter Olympics comes around. I really want to see our crew do well. And I actually follow the medal count and whatnot. And it's always nice to see the pretty locales that they have with the mountains, and I'm like, I bet it would be fun to go there and like stand at the bottom of the ski thing and just drink some hot chocolate and applaud them as they come down and ring the bells. I could do that for a few days. That no problem there.
Yeah.
But it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
Yep.
And it's pointless, and the Olympics are an enormous waste of money, as we all know.
So is Mexican food, so is Italian food. It's the same 3 ingredients in both cultures remixed in different ways, but it's delicious.
Right,
wow.
Yeah. But also I really put this in because I needed to bring up one of the great moments of my entire life.
Oh.
And this is the 2010 Winter Olympics. I don't remember where they were, but I remember where I was. Yep. I was in the living room of the house that me and Mitch and Steve Moore lived in, 1817 North Clybourne Avenue here in Chicago, in our basement apartment. Mm-hmm. And we were watching one of the most boring versions of sliding, curling. And there is a gentleman from Canada named Kevin Martin, who looked like J.K. Simmons with his pants pulled up too high. And he was well into his 40s. This guy did not look like an athlete, but apparently he's a curling legend. And he was one of the oldest Olympians there. He might have been the oldest one at the games. And so the Canadian commentators were talking about him. And so Kevin Martin was about to retire. And Mitch was in the room sitting next to me, by the way. He was present. And Kevin Martin. They said they thought he was going to retire, and so they said, "Kevin, are you going to retire?" And he said, "No, he got some curling to do." that is just my favorite line ever. And then Mitch and I started, for the rest of the time we lived together, like if one of us had to go to the bathroom, be like, "Hey, I got some curling to do." So, Winter Olympics.
Oh, man.
Curling.
It was Vancouver in 2010, so that makes a lot of sense why you had Canadian commentators.
They do a lot of curling up there in Vancouver.
I love curling, on the other hand. It's exciting to watch them brush so fast.
And then they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." When it gets down to the end, like they're about to hit a rock, and you're like, "Yeah, yeah." And you're like, "Oh, okay."
It's just Canadian cornhole. It's Canadian bags. It's the same thing. It's like, it's
the shuffleboard game that you play at a bar, except much slower pace.
Yeah.
Just 10% is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a bowler, like a Midwestern bowler body being able to be an Olympic athlete. That is super exciting for me. It means I got a chance.
Exactly.
Gotta get into curling.
You got some curling to do, Brian.
Well, the Winter Olympics, I think, because like skiing, it's calming, as you said, but when you're actually skiing, because they're going like 65, 70 miles an hour, that is not calming at all for them. Like that is intense, a ride. They need to do away with the cameras that catch them as they go down the hill, just switches from view to view to view. I'm sure skiers would be like, that's extra weight, but put a camera on every single skier and let us get that POV, right? Like, let us feel the fucking MPHs, baby. That's why I love F1 Drive to Survive, because you're going 220 in the cockpit. Let me go 80 miles an hour in the pants of, Hans, Stemgart or whatever from Denmark as he's flying down the slopes. That's what I want to see. So and also the footage if they crash, that'll be some gnarly stuff. Yeah, they can think of better things to do.
I still like the idea, though, that what we're not doing for all the Olympics is sending out an average Joe first, just to show how hard it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's what I want. We need, if it's a true experiment, we need our truth variable. We got to send out the average Joe on a half pipe just to see how far he makes it.
Just to see him shatter his tailbone and just see blood out of his ass.
Yeah,
he would die. Like all of these things, these people could die at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be so good at this
death
stuff.
by sliding.
On those alpine skiers, when they do the slow-mo and you watch them taking the turns and they're just like, and their skis are just bouncing a little bit on the ground and you see their leg muscles just fluctuating and just barely keeping them on the course, and they are world-class muscled athletes. I mean, Tom, Dick, or Joe from down the block, it'd be just immediately ACL tears, kneecaps exploding, flying off in all different directions.
And you wouldn't want to watch that.
No, I would love to watch that. Just call it, just call it Bloody Hill. I'll watch that all day. All right, Nathan, I will say my favorite Winter Olympic game is the combined biathlon where you have to cross country ski and then shoot, because it just feels primordial. You know, it feels like this is how you feed yourself in the winter when you live in Scandinavia. Yeah. I'm going to go 3 points again. Brian, give us your number one. And of course, that envelope of mystery is sitting out there for 5 bonus points. It's a reality show, MTV, Young, Drunk, Perfect Match, Truth Booth, MTV, still sitting out there.
Are you the one?
Yes, Brian Ernst. Way to get it, my friend. This is
I've seen a commercial for it. I've never seen the show.
Seasons 1 through 3 are incredible. They do have a season where they try and get woke, if you will, and it just doesn't work as well, because the best reality shows on MTV are always when you just pump them full of alcohol. You don't make them think or try and be nice. You just pump them full of booze, put them in a sweet house with no TVs, bathing suits and a nice pool. Boom. And the soap starts to sud. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. Brian, that's a big get there for you. Good job, bud. Give us your number one, please. Now.
My number one's very simple. It is 1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC.
Now I looked this up just to get myself a look. One of the stars almost died like a week ago.
Yeah, that happens every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was at a rehab facility for her weight, and her lungs literally could not support the amount of blood,
the weight of her chest,
and the weight of her chest. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
So we're on season 3 now, I think it is.
Yeah.
Just wrapped up. So the Slayton sisters in Kentucky, when the show started, one sister was just over 400, one sister was just over 600. So together they were the 1,000 Pound Sisters.
Oh.
The whole point of the show was other people in their family had gastric bypass surgery. So instead of 600-pound life, this is 1,000 pound together.
Got it.
They were going to lose enough weight to be approved for surgery and get gastric bypass together.
Got it.
Now, as time has gone on, the one sister, Amy, did lose enough weight. She did get gastric bypass, and she has since become pregnant and had a child and has kind of gotten her life together.
Wow.
She still hasn't lost as much as she should have lost, but she's on the right path.
Okay.
Now, Tammy, on the other hand, was over 600 pounds when the show started. She is awful.
Likes to drink.
Just in general.
Likes to vape.
She is just a horrible person and character in terms of not being able to, one, take care of herself, and two, nothing happens unless she decides it's going to happen. Anybody who tries to be there to help support her or help give her, offers to take her to rehab or offers to take her to this, or let's go take a walk, get some exercise, whatever, she shuts them down because I don't need to be told what to do. I could do it myself. Like, that's her attitude this entire time. And she has gotten down to just about 600. Then she's gotten over 700, and she's always fluctuating in between there. And the one doctor she was talking to, his only thing is, I want you to take 75 steps a day.
Oh my God.
That was his recommendation. And she wouldn't do it. That was like going to the mailbox and back.
Oh boy.
And she wouldn't do it. And she still won't do it. And it has taken now to the end of season 3 for her to be like, okay, I'm ready now. And the second she decided to go, so she's done it. She did a stint in rehab.
Yeah.
And she lost like 100 pounds.
Yep.
If she would have stayed in rehab, she would have made weight and would have been able to get surgery.
Yeah.
But she's like, I want to go home. I hate it here.
Yeah.
And because you can't force anybody to be there, she left and she went home.
Yeah.
But it's like, it gets to this point where it's a hate watch because you're just like, everybody is telling you what to do. You follow the instructions and you will be okay.
Yeah. And
then at the end of the season 3, she finally decides, yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to go to rehab. And the second she gets there that night, she gets a lung infection and has to be transferred to the hospital.
Oh my
like
God.
She waited too long. So I follow her on TikTok and now she's got a ventilator like permanently in her neck.
Oh God.
So we have no idea what's going to happen to her. And it's just like, this whole season, she has these weird, she's come out as pansexual. So she just wants a relationship with anyone and anybody she can get along with, which is like, that's fine. But then she starts having these online relationships with either people who are, they call them feeders. So they have a BBW fetish and like will come and bring her a bunch of food and watch her eat it.
Yeah.
So she gains weight that way. Or she like completely gives up on everything and then just goes on these benders where all she just wants to do is drink. So she was drinking 7 to 8 bottles of hard liquor a week.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
So what keeps you coming back to this show? Because it sounds like a really hard thing to watch.
One, the sister who had the kid has a really, really cute kid. So he's just a little baby walking around. His name is Gage. Okay. So he's really, really funny to watch because he's just growing up as a little guy.
Okay.
But the thing that keeps you watching is everyone on this show and this family fights with each other. And it's so great, especially when Tammy gets all angry. She gets her voice like kind of chokes up. She's like, I'm going to get like she can't get the words out anymore because she's just so fucking pissed. And she becomes this huge ball of energy. And it's just like, they're always calling each other, hey, bitch, what's going on, bitch? What's up, bitch? Oh, what's going on, you fat fuck? It's like, that's how they talk to each other. And it's like, I like this.
It sounds kind of like Beavis and Butthead almost.
It is. They are there. Like living embodiments of Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
But it's like, but then they do have this like one responsible brother who also did a weight loss journey and he's gotten the gastric bypass surgery. And at the end of this season, like he's the ray of hope because he's got this really raspy voice. His name is Chris. And it's just like, you just want to root for him. He's just such a sweet guy. He's always trying to help Tammy and whatever. And the end of this season, all he wanted to do was to fit into a suit. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So he got the surgery. He lost some pounds, had everybody over for dinner, and he just came strolling out in just a full suit and tie. He's still about like 350, but he's like, I haven't been able to fit in a suit since I was in high school. And he was just like strutting. He's just super happy and he made his goal and he's still losing weight. And it's like, so there are rays of hope in the show that keep you watching.
Okay. Interesting.
If you haven't watched clips, go watch clips.
Okay.
I highly recommend you going on a YouTube rabbit hole for this show.
Until you gave us some more details at the end, I was going to give you 1 point because I was like, Brian, this just sounds like a really sad show to watch, but I'm gonna knock it up to 2 points for you. And let me do some quick math here. I won't make you guys talk to each other. I know you hate it when you're alone together. 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 15 points for Nathan. That's a very respectable score, Mr. Hennington. Nice job.
Not bad.
That's
not
8,
bad.
10, 13, 16, 19. Wow, 21 points for Brian Ernst. He is our today's winner. That is a very high score for Über Cinco. You should be proud of yourself, Mr. Brian.
I'm so proud.
You beat Nathan. Good for you. All right. Guys, time for the Fast Five. Here it is. Top 5 kisses. Number 5, the French kiss. Nothing starts as mysterious, ephemeral, or wonderful and turns to revulsion as quickly as the French kiss. Surely classy French people don't kiss this way. All the time, teenager me thought, but just like every other kid who was wading into crushes and dating in high school, I said, when in Rome. And the strongest indication a Hollywood slab of beef is actually a creepy douche is when you see them toss out an unsolicited Frenchie smooch on camera looking at you, Tom Cruise and Gerard Butler. Number 4, the ass kiss. Whether you're trying to get ahead, trying to get some head, or trying to get out of your head, and just go for it. The ass kiss is a gateway move to pull. Go boldly, my friends. That promotion or promotion is just beyond the small hills of the cheeks. Number 3, Kissimmee, Florida. Be perfectly whelmed in Kissimmee, Florida. No, you won't be overwhelmed. We are just hotels and go-kart tracks built on parking lots that were built on swamps. But we're pretty close to Disney. Okay. Hold on. Just take a pamphlet. All right, please. Just take a pamphlet. If I don't get 200 of these in people's hands, my boss is gonna have my ass. All right. Oh, also, we got medieval times. You ever seen knights in different colors fight for the hand of a theater major from Florida State? While drinking Pepsi from a flagon, though? Right? Please, just take a pamphlet. Number 2, the off the backboard kiss. When you're operating down low and the post is getting a little clogged, so you just take a little step and fade away, and with a flick of that wrist, you send the basketball softly off the glass, swishing into the hoop. That little kiss, nothing sweeter. Number 1, the chef's kiss. A thick ribeye cooked medium rare with a nice béarnaise, smooth scotch, and your closest buds. A keister that just won't quit. Damn! Or acing a test you forgot about the night before and studied for only 30 minutes at lunch. Ugh, that's a chef's kiss, and it don't get more scrumptious than that. And that's this week's edition of Über Cinco. Please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. And once again, we love that hearty wom, word of mouth. So please tell your friends about us. Send them your favorite episode. And thank you to the man who knew way too much about the Civil War at a young age.
Nathan Henenfen.
And my big wet boy,
Brian Ernst.
And I've been Mitch Brinkman, and as Biz Bear always says, when the tent is a-rocking, that's a time to go a-mauling. Less clothes to rip through. Auf Wiedersehen and adios.
You've just listened to Über Cinco, a production of UBK Studios. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your fine podcasts from.
If you like what you hear and want to support the show, please visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/UBK Studios. Every little bit helps us keep the lights on and the bill collectors at bay.
Keep tabs on us on all the social media at UBK Studios, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see that we really are just a bunch of good Midwestern boys.